Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In last class we looked at the introduction of C++ and we were able to understand most of the basic concepts. We also looked at the types, the data types. We also looked at the rules in declaring and naming a variable. I'm sure you all practiced, had a long time for practice. Now we're going to cover math operations, C++ comments and conditional statements. Alright, so let's not waste your time, let's get busy. Alright, so let me just save this file. Okay, I'm just going to call this test. Remember, okay, the CPP is an extension, so I'm going to save this. So I'm going to call input output header. Alright, main method. Okay, so this is the basic template we need. Okay, alright. So when we talk about math operations, we want to look at how to perform arithmetic operations using programming. Okay, so as you all know, the following basic math operations: we have the addition, we have the minus, we also have the floor division, have the modulus, you have the multiplication, and these are regarded to as the arithmetic operators. These are regarded to the arithmetic operators. So we are going to learn how to implement them in our program, because in programming, when trying to create mathematical operations, there are some certain rules you need to follow and some certain guidelines you need to use, especially if you are going to work with a compound expression, like trying to solve the quadratic equation or trying to solve a formula. Okay, we're going to look at those aspects. Then after arithmetic operations, we also have logical operations, and when you talk about logical operations, we have the AND, we have the OR, and we have the NOT. Okay, so these are regarded to as logical operators. These are regarded to as logical operators. Okay, so the logical operators consist of AND, OR, and NOT. This is basically used to create logic statements between two or more premises or two or more statements. Okay, so we're going to implement this in our if and else, that is in our conditional statements. But for now, let's quickly focus on the arithmetic operators, which are this sum, minus, floor division, modulus, and mathematical operations, and how to use them. Then while working on the arithmetic operators, we're going to work with the increment and the decrement function. Now we have some other operators. We have the greater than, the less than, and also the greater than equals to, and the less than equals to. Alright, so as we code, we're going to look at each of them one by one. Okay, then we work with our increment and decrement functions. Alright, so going back to our code, I'm going to declare a variable which is going to be x. Alright, and I'm going to say x should be equals to 5, and we can just simply put a comma here, and y is equals to 5. Okay, so I've basically declared two variables. And both variables value have 5. So the data type for this variable is int, and if you remember my last video, I think we had a deep understanding of what int data type stores. Okay, so I told you that the int data type stores values that are integers only. These are real numbers, and as you can see, my variable a has been initialized to 5, and this 5 has also been this y variable has been initialized to 5. So the value for my x and the value for my y are both 5. Okay, so we want to tell the computer to do the following: to print out the value of x and y. Okay, so knowing that x is a variable, I'm just going to do this x and y. Alright, so I'm going to use the escape character for the next line. So running this F11. Okay, sorry, I'm not meant to put a comma there. So let's run this. Okay, so there you have it. The computer has as you can see, the computer has performed our arithmetic, so it gave us our answer 10. Alright, this is a basic understanding of how to basically perform arithmetic operation using C++ programming. But let's make this much more professional. You don't want to code in that manner. Okay, we've declared x and y. Let's also declare a variable which will be sum. Alright, so this sum is going to basically store our answer for us. And here we're going to just write down the logic. And in this case, the logic is going to be x plus, okay, let's sum is equals to x plus y. Okay, so sum is a variable also, and it has been declared to be a data integer, a data type of integer. So basically, sum is going to store up our integer values, which is going to be the answer when we perform the operation of x plus y. So sum is going to store our answer. Okay, so sum is basically fixed in this case, because whereas if x and y value should change, sum is still going to store the answer irrespective of what the value of x and y is going to be. Okay, so basically sum is a dynamic variable in this case. Alright, so we tell the computer to send out sum instead of saying tell the computer to send out x plus y. This is the more conventional way to perform your arithmetic. So running this code, as you can see, we have the sum should be 10. Okay, so what if I wanted to put some text before the sum? Maybe I wanted to like just give some explanations. So I'm going to use a string. So I'm going to say this: the sum of x and y are, okay, I'm going to do a concatenation here, and I'm just going to put sum, then end line escape character. So the sum of x and y are, then we're going to have the value here. Okay, since this is singular, so the sum of x and y is, so we're going to have the value stored here in sum. So when we run this code, alright, this is it. The sum of x and y is 10. Okay, is 10. So you don't need to worry about how the arithmetic is being handled. The arithmetic is being handled basically by your compiler and by other resources that has been loaded with the C++ programming itself. All you have to do is learn how to implement it. Okay, learn how to implement it. So using the same code, we're just going to perform, alright, a different arithmetic. So in this same case, I'm going to declare another variable, and I'm going to call this diff. Okay, difference. So I'm going to declare diff should be equals to x minus y. Okay, x minus y. So let's print this out. So we're going to say the difference between x and y is, so we'll concatenate here, and I'm going to put the variable there, which is diff, and our escape character. Sorry, let me just, escape character. So let's run this code. Alright, so the difference between x and y is 0. So we've performed two arithmetic operations. We've performed the sum and we've also performed the difference. Okay, so let's perform the multiplication. Okay, so I'm going to declare another variable here. Alright, I'm going to call this small. Okay, I'm going to call this small. So the mul is going to store a value which is equal to x asterisk y. Okay, so you make sure you use asterisk. You don't want to try putting x there. Okay, the programmer only recognized asterisk to be the symbol for multiplication. So asterisk to see out. So I'm going to say the value. Sorry, value is, so I'm going to pull more and the escape character. So let's run this. Okay, so as you can see the value is 25. That's giving you 5 times 5. Okay, alright, so let's work with division. So I'm going to come here, declare another variable div. So div is going to have a value of x, y. Oh, I'm going to say the quotient is div and we place our escape character there. So let's run this and see. Okay, so you can see the quotient is 1 because 5 divided by 5 is going to give us 1. 5 divided by 1 is going to give us 5 divided by 5 is going to give us 1. So this aside, so now we're going to look at our modulus. Okay, so I'm going to, in this place I'm going to store a value, so we name it mode. Sorry, so mode. So now since we already declared our mode, so let's initialize the mode. It's going to be equals to x percentage y. Alright, the modulus is represented with the percentage sign. In most programming it is always used in this format where you're going to have mode then x y. Okay, but for C++ and most other programming languages it's going to be x percentage y. So the main function of modulus is to give us if there are any possible remainders if x and y are divided. Okay, the quotient is basically the basic answer which we get when we divide x by y, which is giving us 1. That is telling us that x and y is divided in one portion. Then any remainders that is going to be left will be stored as the modulus. So let's assume we want to know if after dividing x and y is there going to be a remainder. Of course we know, but we just want to know. So we're going to just say the remainder is, so I'm just going to type modulus there. Alright, so let's run this. Alright, so you can see the remainder is 0. So the sum of x and y is 10, the difference is 0. The value, which is also multiplication, is 25, and the quotient, which is the divisor, is 1, and the remainder after dividing is 0. So let's just tamper with x. Let's assume that x is 10 in this case. Alright, so once I change the main these two variables, okay, it's not going to affect the rest of the variable because the rest of the variable already has its logic. Okay, and these are the logics. Okay, so diff is equal to x minus y. We don't want to know what x is or what y is. As long as x and y are integer or natural numbers, they are going to be compile successfully. If this is the same thing too, as long as x and y are holding a numerical variable, it's going to be compiled successfully. But if I mistakenly change y to, let's say, a string, okay, and I try running this, see, it's an invalid conversion from char to int. So basically this is an error. So I'm just going to return this back to its default state. So basically we have declared x and y. These two variables should only store integer values. So if we go against that principle, it's going to definitely generate an error. But these variables are also going to storing the same integer values, but in this case these variables have their logic and these are their logics. And in most cases we can just define the logics here and just give our prints out here, okay. But okay, so I'm just going to cut this and place our logic here. Cut this, place our logic. I'm also going to cut this and just place it here. Our modulus, and place it here. Alright, so we have all our logics here, okay, they are arranged here. So we have all our statements, okay. So now let's look at the increment and decrement function, okay. The decrement and increment function can basically be used in arithmetic counters. They are very, very simple. When you have the x variable and you place xx, and also when you have xx plus plus x, they both have difference. This is basically going to count up to give us a value of +1, and this basically is not going to do anything till it's been programmed using a loop in this case. So x plus plus is still going to be x, whatever x may be. If x was 1 and you have x plus plus, it's still going to be 1. So we're still going to prove this, okay. And the same thing goes with the decrement function. The decrement function, once I have x minus minus, it's not going to do basically anything, so it's still going to be 1. But if we have minus minus x, it's going to be basically -1 out of the value. These decrement and increment functions are basically used to creating counters, stopwatch, countdowns, and along the line as we begin to develop more programs, especially when we get to loops, we're going to make use of the increment and decrement function, where we're going to learn how to create a countdown and a timer, okay. So let's have an idea of how they work. So I'm just going to declare x plus plus. Okay, so let's just delete all this for now. Okay, I'm just going to declare x plus plus, and let's see what happens to x plus plus. Okay, so x plus plus, let's send out x plus plus. So x plus plus basically is 11. Okay, so a value was added. Okay, so if we have plus plus x also, run this, we also have 11. Okay, so in most cases x plus plus most times doesn't work depending on how you are using your program. So if you are not using a loop, the best way is to have plus plus x. So the same way I'm going to have minus minus y. Okay, minus minus, for let's have y instead of x. Minus minus y. So I'm going to place y there. So y here value is 5. So this should be decreased to 4 on running the program. So as you can see, our value has been decreased to 4. So if you are not running the increment and decrement function in a loop, it's best to probably have it in this way. So but if you are running it in the loop, then you can have it as x plus plus, because in most programs, depending on what you are doing or depending on where you declared your variable, it's likely not to perform the function you want. Okay, so we still have other functions to do. Okay, so let's look at the greater than and x than. So we're just going to do this. So cout. Okay, so let's work with bool. Okay, the boolean. We talked about boolean last class, and I said that the boolean holds two values, which are true and false. So let's work with that true and false. So I'm going to say cout x greater than y. Let's see what the compiler tells us. So I think the compiler is x greater than y. Okay, so no match for operator. Okay, we're not going to use this here. My compiler does not allow me to do that function, but okay. So in order for me to do that comparison, which are also known as comparison operators, the comparison operators basically consist of the greater than, the greater, and the less. Okay, these are known as the comparison operators. Okay, comparison operators, basically they are used to compare two or more variables. So in order for me to work with that best, because of my type of compiler, and I don't want to use a compiler much more too sophisticated for your understanding, so please ensure you subscribe and like and tell your friends about this video. It's some people really want to understand C++, because not everybody out there have the ability to explain it or to break it down to be very, very understandable and easy. So please ensure you subscribe. It's your subscription that keeps me going, so please ensure you subscribe so I can able to produce more of these lecture tutorials. And please like and comment below in the section box if you have any question. In the video description, I'm going to place in links to the WhatsApp platform, so you can drop questions if you have any questions, irrespective of your race. Okay, so this leads us to the next chapter, which is going to be the if and else, which is a conditional statement. Okay, so we want to learn how to use the comparison functions, which is the greater than and the less than. Okay, so how do we do this? Okay, so I'm just going to delete this, stick with live logic. But before we go into the compound statement, I want to teach us comments. Okay, so in other programming languages, they make use of comments, which basically explain a section of our code, or basically the overall essential of the code. Comments can be placed anywhere, as they are not run into the output. Okay, so in writing comments in C++, it's very, very easy. All you just to put the 2// and we can just say this is a comment. So basically, comments is added to code to explain what the section does and what the section does not does. Okay, so for example, I'm going to say print out a message, and before this I'm going to say declaring all variables. Okay, so let's print out the message. I'm going to just do cout sum, or let's say cout mode. Okay, so let's run. So as you can see, our modulus is basically 0, and if you look at this, our comment is not showing. So the compiler basically ignores the comments. Okay, it ignores the comment. The comment is not meant to be run in the code, so it ignores the comment. So we're going to be making use of comments in our codes, and it's very, very advisable that you make use of comments. Okay, for professionalism, it's basically an essential step in documenting your codes, okay, in case you write a code and you're going back to it and you want to know what you built, you want to know what the particular code function was to perform. Declaring comments in your codes will really help you to remember what you did and what you didn't, okay. And it also makes your code readable by other programmers, beginners or professionals. So you should start practicing how to write comments in your code. So now I'm going to be making use of comments beginning from this video lecture till we get to an advanced level, okay. So now let's move over to the conditional statement. Basically, the conditional statement is a statement basically used to create more like a logic between two choices, okay. Let's explain this. Let's take it for instance, you're in a restaurant and you want to order 2 delicacies, okay, and basically you want to be sure that you want to give them 2 options of your delicacies. So you want to take rice or beans, okay. So you're going to present your offer. So you're going to tell the waiter that if there is rice, you should be served rice, else if there is no rice, you should be given beans. So basically, beans is the second option given to rice if rice is not available. In most cases, you could have programs or applications asking the users if they want to continue a program or end the program. It allows them to basically make decisions, because most times users can make 2 or multiple decisions when using some certain programs, and you want to learn how to control that decision, okay. It's basically called the control structures, okay. You want to learn how to control data flow structures. So you want to make sure that you want to take in their right options and control it. If their answer is going to be yes, if it's going to be no, if it's going to be wait, if it's going to be stop, if it's going to be pause, if it's going to be continue, you want to make sure that you have code for those logics, okay. So let's look at the condition. We have basically in C++, the condition are basically made up of if and else, okay. So when you have the if block, you have the code here, and you have if code. Alright, so every code are written within the if block, okay. So this is basically an if block statement, and the else are to be placed out of the if block, okay. Inside here is going to be your arguments, okay. Your arguments, and most of the arguments are always logical. It could be comparison, it could be arithmetic, it could be initialization, it could be anything, but it's going to, this code in the if is going to run if the argument here is true, okay. So if the argument here is true, this is going to run, and if the argument here is false, the code out here is going to run. Whatever code that is here, okay, whatever code, that's else code, whatever code that is here is going to run, okay. All right, I'm going to go again. This is our if block, okay. So as I said earlier, the if and else is basically used to control decisions being taken and handled by the user. So you have the if argument. So if you say if this argument is true, the if code should run, else the else code should run. All right, let's practice this in our compiler quickly. So let's compare each message. So we're going to say compare to values. So we're going to say if, all right, so we open our parentheses here, so we're going to place our arguments, okay. So remember I said our argument is going to be here, then we're going to have the if, which is going to be the code, all right. Then out here it's going to be the else code, okay. So if this argument here is not true, this is going to run, right? If this is true, this will run, okay. So let's prove it. So our arguments were to compare the two variables x and y. So if x is greater than y, we have to send a message which say out that yes indeed x is greater y. Okay, so we're just going to leave it like this. Okay, because by default, when you have an if statement, every code that's going to be out here basically by default is else. So I'm just going to write cout x is not greater than y. Okay, let me place my escape character here. So if x is greater than y, we are going to print out x is greater than y, and if this condition is not true, this is going to come out. Okay, given that the above argument is not true. Okay, so what is the value of our x is 10 and the value of y is 5. So is x greater than y? Let's find out. Alright. Oh, sorry, I forgot to place our else. That's a very bad tricky mistake. So I'm just going to cut this, please. I've forgotten that for every if there is ought to be a defaulted else. So I'm just going to cut this and give our else statement. So the else doesn't need any arguments, so we just open the else code body and place our condition, our statements within. So this is the if body, okay, and this is the else body. So if the statement is true, the first run; if it's false, the second runs. So let's check. Alright, so because x is basically greater than y, x is greater than y. Okay, so yes, so you can see that this did not run. Now if I should change y to 35, okay, now let's run this. It says x is not greater than y. Can you see? It has basically handled two choices. Okay, so if x is greater than y, that is if x is bigger than y, we should send a message telling us that x is greater than y. And you want to do else x is not greater than y if this value here is not true, if it's what? False. So if this statement is false, this is going to come out. So as you can see here, basically because x is not greater than y, seeing that x is 10 and y is 35, so our else statement is what came out. So x is not greater than y. Conditional statements can be used for a lot of awesome purposes as long as you know how to apply them. They are very easy to use and very simple, and helps to perform lots of logics and control data that we're going to collect from user. So that is why for we to understand this, we are going to create a project right now. Yes, we're going to create a get a number game. Alright, so I'm just going to scrap this. I hope you've written down, taken down notes. Okay, so let's create a get a number game. So creating guess a number game. So basically this game, if the user gets the right number, he's going to win. If he guesses it, he's going to lose. Okay, so we're going to control the gaming sequence. So if he or she enters a number, we're going to print out the message to the user telling him he wins. If he gets the wrong number, we're going to print out a message telling him he loses. Okay, so that means we are going to be collecting data from the user, which leads us to a new syntax you haven't come across as we started this lecture. So this new syntax, basically we've been learning how to print out, send out message to the computer, send out message using our program to the computer. We're going to learn how to also collect data from the user, and it's very simple. So I'm just going to use hashtag include stream. Okay, so sorry, if you have any questions, please ensure to draw them in the comment section, or you can just basically chat me up on the WhatsApp link that is placed in the video description. So now let's initialize our variable. So we're going to first of all collect two data, a data from the user, which is going to be basically the name, and we're going to create a variable that is going to keep the score, which is the lucky number. So we're going to say lucky number. All right, remember I told you that one of the rules of creating variables, if you have two words coming together, make sure that the second word is capitalized. Okay, this is a Pascal naming convention for those that did Pascal programming back then. So lucky number is going to store the lucky number. So our lucky number in this case is going to be equals to 5. So no matter how many numbers they choose, it doesn't mean, okay, it doesn't, it's going, as long as it is not 5, they are going to lose. Okay, so we want to also store the username, so we're going to say string name. So that's all. The name is going to be gotten from the user's input, so we don't want to say name is equals to no. As long as you're going to get the value for name from the user, you don't need to assign any value. All you need to do is to just make sure that the variable that is going to store any username must be placed and be declared within. Alright, so we declared our variables here, right? Declare variables. So alright, so let's begin. So we see out the message. We say guess a number and win. So then we collect the user's name. Out, please enter your name. Okay, so we're going to ask the user to enter his or her name. So here, let's place our escape sequence, which is going to be end line. Okay, end line. Now to collect users data from user is very simple. It goes along with the same syntax, but instead of using the C out, which is send out, I'm going to use C in, which is send in, and instead of doing this, I'm going to do this. Okay, so now we're going to place in what they are going to enter. That is the data, and in this case, the data we're asking them to put in is their name, and we've already declared and stored a variable here to be able to store that data gotten from them. So I'm just going to place that variable there and just do this. Okay, you don't need any sequence here. Okay, so let's test our program. Alright, it said guess a number and win. Okay, seems I forgot to place this. Okay, it's a little typo. Okay. Okay, permission denied. It happens with this compiler. So I'm going to cut this code, create a new file, paste, save, game.cpp. In our next lectures, we're not going to be making use of this compiler. So I'm going to run. Okay, good. So it said guess a number and win. As you can see, it says please enter your name, and it's ready in the next line. So you can see a cursor blinking there for you, so you can just type your name, but we don't want to make our name in the next line, so I want our name to be in this portion here. So to do that, I'm going to remove end line from this place. Okay, I'm going to remove end line from this place. So running this, now you can see the cursor is right at the front, so I can type my name. Good, press enter. The program is over. We haven't done anything yet. We just want to test if it's working. So the computer once this program collects the user's name, it's going to store it into this variable which we declared here. All right. And in most cases, in bigger applications, you want to write a validation to validate if that user's input is actually a string. You get. In the future, we're going to learn how to create validators in order to validate the input of user to make sure that they actually guess a number and they actually enter their names. Okay, not Michael 5 or Michael underscore 12. Okay, but for now, for the simplicity of this lecture, let's just collect their names. Okay, let's just assume. Okay, so as we go further into this, we're going to look at more advanced ways of handling users data. So now, seeing name, we've collected user's name. Now we perform the logic. Okay, collecting name, then let's collect the locking number. Okay, so we're going to also store another variable where it's going to add, call it number. Okay, so we have locking number and we have number. So we're going to have cout enter any number from 0 to 100. So we want to make sure that the user only enters number from 0 to 100. Okay, so with this we're going to learn how to control the choice of numbers he enters and if the number he entered is actually true. So get ready, this is going to be a bit complex. So okay, we want the user to steal. Okay, so I'm just going to remove that. Remember, I also removed the escape sequence, so I don't want this to go to the next line. Okay, I want his name to be placed here. The same thing here. So we're collecting number, so we asked him to enter any number from 0 to 1. So we're going to say cin, that's collect, then we're going to say number. Now let's perform logic. So if number is equals to okay, so we're going to use this is basically a comparison statement. Okay, you can make use of the singular, but in most cases single or double work, but for best results I'm going to make use of the double equal sign. So this equals to lucky number. We're going to see out a message telling him he wins. Okay, send a message alerting the user of his success. So we're gonna say congratulations. Okay, I'm going to put an escape character here. You win. I'm going to leave some space here. Okay, and I also want this to go to the next line. So if you don't want the next statement after our statements to go to the next line, whether it's a cin or a cout statement, just make sure that you don't put the end line escape sequence. And if you are removing the end line escape sequence, don't just leave it like this. No, make sure you leave it like this. Okay, so but I want this escape sequence to be here. So now let's test this program. Okay, so I'm just going to run this. So enter a name, Mike, guess any number from 0 to 100. Okay, I forgot to place something there. So I've seen an error. Get a number from 0 to 100. We place this and let's leave a space between. Okay, and the same thing too with name. I'm going to place this and just leave a space. Then congratulations, we also want to print out name. Okay, congratulations, the name we collected from the user. Okay, so I'm going to make sure there's a space here, so I'm going to put name to save. So say congratulations, concatenate the name too also to the next line. So if you want to add another variable, just make sure that you place this parameter. It's very important. If you don't place it, it's not going to work. Other programming language have ways of concatenating, but C++ works in this way. So I feel this should be easier for you to do. Just make sure it's here. And remember, this is a variable, so you don't want to put them in quotes. All right, good. So let's run this program and test it. Okay, I'm having these compiler issues and it's really annoying. Sorry. In time we're going to make use of a better one, because this is basically easier for you to use. So I'm just going to name this lucky.cpp. Alright, so let's run this. Okay, so guess your number away and please enter your name. I'm going to say Mike. Say enter any number from 0 to 100. So I'm going to say 9. Okay, it's exited. All right, that's good. Now let's assume I knew the number. Okay, let's run this program again. Okay, so enter a name. So I'm going to say Mike. Guess number 5. Okay, congratulations, Mike, you win. All right, so it's brought out my name, which I outputted here. So it's told me congratulations, Mike, you win. So it depends. Doesn't matter what name is entered here, okay? As long as a name is being presented, it's going to save that name into the variable which we declared name, and that variable name is to store any name that comes in from the user. Okay, so then we're not done. So what happens if the user chooses a wrong number? So we're going to say else cout you lose. And line. Then we're going to give a message. I'm going to say sorry, put space, then the name of the user, name. Okay, concatenate again, space, please try again. Okay, so end line. Okay, so as you can see, so we have an else statement. So cout you lose, then we're going to say sorry, the name of the user, please try again. Then I want to do something. So we got the name from the user, so let's make this a bit fancy. Let's see. Alright, okay, let's see, name, enter any number from 0 to 100, whoever that person may be. Okay, so now let's run this code. So basically we've handled the logic, we've allowed the user of his success, we've also allowed the user of his loss. So we've controlled this logic. So running this, so guess a number. I'm going to use John. Alright, so you can see, said John, enter any number from 0 to 100, and let's assume I pick 2. He said you lose, sorry John, please try again. Okay, so I'm just going to press anything. So I'm going to press F10 to replay this program, and I'm going to pick Sarah, enter a number from 0 to 100. So say Sarah, enter a number from 0 to 100, and I'm going to say 5. Say congratulations Sarah, you win. Okay, now what if this user, because we asked the user to enter his name and he's going to enter his name, he's going to say Will, and we asked him to guess will enter any number from 0 to 100, and will basically enters 1000. Do you understand? It says you lose, but we asked the will not to enter number, or what do we say, number greater than 100. So that is where we're going to control his input. So we're going to come back to the if and create a new statement. So we said number, if the number is equal to lucky number, and we're going to create a new, and we're going to say and, which is the and statement. Sorry. So we use that the and statement. Remember that the and statement is a logical condition. So we're making use of this. We're going to say and number is greater than 100. Okay, and number is less than 100. So and number is less than 100. So if the user's number is equal to the lucky number, and given that his number is also less than 100, so that parameter should be executed properly. Good. So we don't have any problem with that. So but if the user, what if the user also enters number greater than 100? That's why we're going to have something called a compounded if else statements. Okay, so basically if else statements have two types. Okay, sorry, the if else statement has two types. We have the nested if else, and the second one we have the compound if else. So I'm going to start with the compound if else. Okay, first, the compound if else basically consists of the if, else if, and else. Okay, so it could be if, else if, else if, else if, else if, and else. In this case, we want to have multiple options. Okay, so we want to make sure that the user doesn't enter the number greater than what, 100. So we want to control his data input. So the if else always comes before the else. So I'm going to create this. So I'm going to say else if option. So I'm going to say else if. Okay, so I want to create an argument here. The else if is going to have an argument. Else if number is greater than 100, then we're going to tell the user cout. So we're going to say cout name of the user, a space, number cannot be more than 100. Okay, please try again. Okay, so okay, so we have our else if block. So if number is equals to the lucky number and number is less than 100, okay, we should see out a message saying the user congratulations, he wins. And else if the number is greater than 100, we should send a message, then the user number cannot be more than 100, so please try again. And else if the user loses, we should tell the user he lost. Okay, so let's run this program. Okay, if you're having the same issue with your compiler in this way, you don't need to panic. Just make sure you copy your code, create a new file, and make sure you delete the existing files. Okay, paste, save. It happens a lot with these particular compilers, especially because they're basically out of date. So in our next tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to use a better compiler, so by then you will have had a great understanding of C++ basics. So you're going to make use of an advanced compiler rather than using this like I said in the first video, we are making use of Dev C++ basically because of the simplicity of our tutorial. So I'm just going to name this sat just cpp. Make sure you delete the format files, save. Alright, run this code. Alright, so enter a number. I'm going to use James. Enter a name. So James, enter any number from 0 to 100. James entered 12. You lose. James, sorry, try again. Alright, so let's play again. Ken enter any number from 0 to 100. Ken enters 5. Congratulations, Ken, you win. Alright, I want to play again. Mike, enter a number from 0 to 100. Now this person enters 101. Mike, number cannot be more than 100. Please try again. Well, there you have it. You've created your first logical guess a number game. Now we don't want the user to keep replaying the game. You get each time he loses or win. We want to create a parameter whereby he's able to on his own replay the program from that same program. So in that case, we are going to have what they call a loop. Alright, so in our next class we're going to look at our nested if else and introduction to loop. So we're going to add some loop functions into this game and make this game much more usable and playable. So we want to make sure that after the user has been alerted his message, he should be able to rerun his program properly. Okay, so in case of he loses, we're going to have a message prompting him that telling he or her, do you wish to play again, or do you want to continue? And if the user's choice is yes, then we rerun the program again. If it's no, then we end the program. So basically that is what we're going to use loops for. Alright, remember we're still working on the data control system, and now we've known how to get the data from users using the conditional statements. So our next class we're going to look at loops, okay, and understanding the various types of loops and how to use them properly, and also make our game much more sophisticated using the loops. Alright, thank you. Please don't forget to subscribe, and if you have any question concerning the class, feel free to drop in the comments section. Please like this video and share. It is a subscription that will help me to continue these lectures. Alright, so please make sure you subscribe and click on the notification bell for you to be notified on the new videos. Alright, thank you. Have a wonderful day.